Welcome to CoxePit Conversations. I've got my Myron Golden with me. We're on the way to the Exumas. If you don't know Myron, make sure you follow this guy. So Myron, we're not going to do karaoke. You know, what's his name?
No,
James Cameron.
We're
not doing karaoke, but we could. And yes, we are being safe. We have the aircraft on autopilot and all that good stuff. So Myron does a lot of incredible work, a lot of wisdom that he shares with people on strategies to help them to be more successful. So Myron, I just wanted to ask you, what do you think? I know there's a lot of answers to this, but what are the number one reasons that people just don't move ahead and get themselves out of the level they're at, no matter where it's at, and really take it to that next level? What do you find in your experience that you've been doing this for so long?
I think two things. One is most people spend most of their time and most of their subconscious energy protecting themselves from the unknown beautiful or not so beautiful futures that they have. And so they expect them not to be beautiful, so they just pump the brakes. So that's one. But I think the other thing is that most people who are hyper successful because they focus on intention, ignore distraction. And most people who are like struggling their way through life focus on distractions and ignore intention. And by intention, I mean anything that moves the needle in your favor.
Right.
By distraction, I mean anything you focus on that doesn't add anything to your life or the lives of the people you care about. So like right now we're in the cockpit and you're showing me all these instruments, the airspeed indicator, the attitude directional indicator, et cetera, and I'm looking at all these things and all of these different gadgets and dials. We have to pay attention to these in order to stay alive. Right? But these are not the objective.
Right. They get us to where we're going.
And what most people do is they get so locked in on the instrument panel of life,
they're not looking out.
They forget the destination. They forget to have their head on a swivel and look for all the opportunities there are.
And the thing is there are so many opportunities. And
there are, and they're everywhere.
And when a person moves forward and opens a door, I mean, it just goes to the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. And that's how I met you. It was through somebody that I knew that we happened to see each other one day, and
and we just stayed in conversation.
It's so cool.
And finally, it worked out perfectly.
And here we are, right?
I had a pain that was great. You were a guy that I had a pain solution.
And he likes the jet life. So
I love it.
His big pain was commercial flying. He doesn't like that.
I hated it.
So I got him hooked, line and sinker. He loves this aviation
stuff. There's no going back.
Man.
It's like flying private on private jets when I'm going somewhere far, or we're going to the Exumas down in the Bahamas right now, and Gary's my flight instructor, and so I'm learning how to fly this twin-engine Piper Navajo, and we're going about 200 and something miles per hour, headed down over the ocean down to Bahamas. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah, Sandals Resorts.
You haven't noticed, we picked up a passenger here. Where are you at? Say hi, Tequila. This is Tequila, one of my cockatoos. And if you ever want to go with me to the Bahamas on my Mastermind, go to beyondfirstclasswithgary.com, beyondfirstclasswithgary.com, and you can come with me on one of my coaching events that we do at Sandals Resorts in the Bahamas. But let's go ahead and get to the whiteboard in just a moment. And in that discussion, what I want to focus on what it means to break down what Myron talked about. Focus on intention, and then the distraction part, ignore distraction. I'm going to share with you what I believe is the number one distractor that everybody has, and if you don't know how to master it, you're not going to be able to focus on intention. So let's jump over to the whiteboard, and the first thing that I think that keeps people from really projecting themselves and getting to that next level, he talked about that you got to pump on the brakes. You got to pump on the brakes on that fear, false expectation appearing real. The problem with fear is what happens is it's not just fear too, it's also the imagination. If this doesn't work, then this is going to happen. Never forget this. You suffer more in your imagination than you do in reality. Think about that. You suffer more in your imagination than in your reality. And basically that's all fear is. It's false expectation. You're expecting something to be appearing real when it's really not. So you're conjuring up a story if this doesn't work. And sometimes you'll go down that road and it may not work. But successful people understand that this is something they have to learn to ignore. Now let's talk about what Myron had mentioned. He mentioned that successful people focus on intention and ignore distraction. So when I start off in my mornings, what I want to do, and I want to make sure you're doing this as well, my mornings are very, very intentional. I start my morning, so before I get going, I'll write down specific things that I need to do for myself and also delegate. What I like to delegate is not just tasks, but you want to really focus on delegating responsibility. There's a big difference. Delegate responsibility. So my intention and what I'm writing down is something that moves the needle, that gets me to the next point, the next goal. It's like moving the chess piece. What's the next move I have to make? What's the next piece I've got to do? And this is something that I do every single day. All right, now, so focus on intention. Know specifically what it is that you want. And some people say, well, I don't know what I want. Well, that's a whole nother series of videos. But you have to focus on intention. Be intentional. Every morning, I'm intentional. I'm going to accomplish this. Here's what I need to do to make it happen. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this, and so forth. Next thing is ignore distraction. The number one distraction that I feel that everybody has, next to social media, that's a big one, we'll talk about that, is this right here, emotions. That's your number one distraction. There is no question about it. And because of that, most people have a hard time leading their emotions or their feelings, and what they do, they become a slave to them. Think about it. When you feel sad, what do we typically do? We act sad. When we feel happy, we act happy. Now, what I'm about to share with you, I think you'll agree with me, is a lot easier said than done. When we feel sad, we should try to act what? We should try to act happy. Now, that's very difficult because what we are used to doing, we're used to being a slave to our emotions, not a leader of them. I want you to stop and think about, on a day-to-day basis, what percentage of time would you say you truly lead your feelings as opposed to being a slave to them? And here is why that is so important to your success. Because if you start your day out with intention, and you start by saying, I'm going to do this, 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 and this, whatever that is, and then something just, Murphy's Law jumps in front of you, right? And if you're not careful, your emotions get totally whacked, and before you know it, instead of going here toward your goals, you're over here, or pushing a parked car, or you're doing one step forward and 10 steps back. This is why it's so important for you to master your emotions. During the day, I'd like you to think about, in a day, what are the top 3 emotions that you experience? If you experience sadness, depression, loss, these are things that are not going to help you and allow you to be intentional to move toward your goals. So think about that. Hope you've enjoyed today's video, enjoyed spending time with Myron. We've been friends now for a number of years, and a great person to learn from. But these are very important things. Focus on intention. Know where you're going all the time. And one other quick thing, because I focus on intention, because Myron focuses on intention, when people come to me with opportunities, people come to me all of the time. But here's the thing. Whoops, we don't want tequila to fall. If I have a bullseye and I know exactly where I want to be going, right? I want to go right to the bullseye. And if somebody keeps throwing, hey, would you like to do this? Would you like to do this? I am very intentional, so you have to learn to say the N-word. And what's the N-word? No thank you, all right? Because if you're unable to say no, you'll be so distracted. Oh, you want to have lunch? Let's do this. I want to talk to you about this. I've got this opportunity. I get thousands of these all of the time. And because it's not part of that bullseye, my intention, I have to say no. Sometimes I don't want to, but I have to what? Lead my feelings and not be a slave to them. Hope you've enjoyed today's video. Love to see your comments below. Love to also have you subscribe so we can see more of you. We're out of here. Tequila, say goodbye. Tequila doesn't talk, only whistles. Tequila just came out of surgery, so she's doing really well. Anyway, we're out of here. You'll see us again soon. Between now and the next time we get to chat, you know what to do. And if you don't, you do now. The title of one of my books, Don't Let Others Rent Space in Your Head. Have an awesome day.